With us as we start off or continue in hour one of our radio program on this busy Monday. I hate the late starts of these games in the NBA. I mean, tonight, 10:47, that will be the first tip. Start the game on NBA TV, then flip it over to TNT. I mean, they started the game last night in Indiana. I think there's an hour time difference in Indiana, in the state of Indiana right now. They don't touch the clocks like Arizona, so it's probably 7:45 there instead of 8:45. But boy, on a Sunday night to start an NBA playoff game on the East Coast, at 10 or 9 at night. I understand they want to get the ratings, and they had a lot of games to show. They had 4 games. Oh, it's the same time there now? All right, so in other words, they start the game local time at 10 of 9 on a Sunday night. I mean, are you kidding me? If people going to school the next day, it's not summertime by any stretch, and you start a ball game in the NBA at 10 of 9, that's just way, way, way too late. And again, TNT and, to a certain degree, ABC and ESPN, they dictate the starting times of these games. And tonight, it's impossible. I mean, I'd want to watch that OKC game tonight. That's a competitive series. Let me see if the Thunder can show some resolve. I mean, if they don't win that, I hope Billy Donovan's not in trouble, because I don't think it's his fault. But I don't trust that. I don't trust that GM Pressey. I don't trust him as far as I can throw him. And I don't know what he got rid of PJ there for Scott Brooks. That always bothered me. I'm very, very concerned regarding the whole scenario with Donovan there. But I'll tell you, if the Thunder don't win tonight, geez, they're going to lose that series. And again, 10:47 is way too late. It's way freaking too late for these NBA games. I mean, yesterday they did. They had the 4 games. They basically. What they should have done is have the Wizards play at 1 and have the Celtics and Bucks play at 6, because it's almost too early to have the Bucks start a game in the Midwest at noon on a Sunday. I mean, they should have played at 6 o'clock and have the Wizards play at 1. But see, ABC doesn't want the Wizards and the Raptors because it's a lousy rating, because Toronto is not rated in America. So they want to make sure that Toronto's thrown on TNT. That's an ABC doubleheader, and they want to get people watching the games, and they took Boston and Milwaukee, part Celtic and part Toronto, not rated. I mean, so that's why they stuck Milwaukee at 1 noontime local, and they put the Wizards on TNT at 6. So there are reasons for everything. It's all about trying to get they spend a ton of money to get these games, and it's trying to get some eyeballs to the sets. ABC/ESPN made a horrendous business decision with $1.4 billion a year going to the NBA, and they got to try to make it up as best they can, and they will take the best matchups and put them at the time that they want to put the games on, and we have to suffer the consequences. I mean, it's as simple as that. And, tonight's a TNT night, and so 8 o'clock Houston, Minnesota. Would I prefer, so in other words, tonight now in Utah, you're going to start that game at 10 of 9 local time. I mean, is that fair to start a game in April at 10 of 9 local time? Well, their argument is, what he wants to do? Well, you could play Houston and Minnesota at 7. I mean, at 6 o'clock local time. What's the big deal? You could play that game at 6 if you wanted to. You don't have to start that game at 8 o'clock, at 8:10. You could start that game at 7:10. And Minnesota, they get to the game. They would get to the game. There's a lot of different ways. It drives me crazy. I scream about this all the time. This is me. It always drives me nuts about this with the starting times. I mean, I don't know what else I would have thought about doing. I actually like the 2:30 and 5. I actually like that on Saturday. I didn't feel I had to be there right away with the Sixers. I would have been there right away if I knew that Philadelphia was down 2-1. But since they were up 2-1, I didn't feel I had to be there, right at the start of that game. And the one thing I was thinking about with Spoelstra, and that's why I'm not saying he's not a good coach, but name me the series that Eric Spoelstra ever won in his career where his team overachieved to win a series. Name me he lost to Dallas, which is a horrendous loss. He basically went 1-1 against the Spurs. All right. The one he won, they probably should have lost the series. Ray Allen bailed them out, but that was a dead-even series, that one series, the first one with the Spurs. The second series, San Antonio drilled them. He lost to the Hawks. He lost to Toronto. He's going to lose this series. Has there ever been, and they only won 42, 43 games, has there ever been a series, I mean, we put Spoelstra in the Hall of Fame. Has there ever been a series that we can say, unequivocally, boy, he won a series he had no business winning? I never, ever have, I never sensed that. Never have I sensed that. And I understand 99% of the time the best team wins these playoff series. But even Tyrone Lue beat Golden State down 3-1. And he should never have won that series. Has there ever been a series where he has won one where you said to yourself, holy crap, how did Miami win this series? Never. I mean, you're going to bring me up San Antonio, but that was a dead even series to begin with. That was a dead even series. Just food for thought. But anyway, I like the 2:30 and 5 on Saturday afternoon. And I tell you, it's funny too. I sent my child, as you know, big Pelican fan. I sent him to New Orleans for Game 4, Saturday afternoon, 5 o'clock. He's a basket by basket fan. First game of the season through Game 82. He is not a fair weather fan. He loves this team. Doesn't love any other team, but he loves this one. I just felt it was from a sports fandom standpoint, he earned it, kind of, so to speak, where, in fact, he showed me enough resolve and enough love of the team. So if I could take care of him, I did. And all I did on Saturday is I watched him, because he was sitting, you don't think I put him in the upper deck, do you? I watched him. That's the old Chuck Daly line about the 92 Olympic team, when everybody was oohing and eyeing about the fact that he was basically staying in Monaco during practices for the Olympics. And I went to a speech one day Chuck had right in the middle of that at the Waldorf Astoria, and Chuck said, what do you want me to do, stay in Camden? So I always, it's one of the great lines. Yeah, right, Jordan and Camden. So I always bring that up. I couldn't put him in the upper deck. Anyway, I got such a kick out of watching him root for that team on the edge of his seat, basket by basket. And I know what? Let me give Joel Myers Joel has had a great career. Westwood won, did all the LA games and everything else for years. Anyway, he does the Pelican games. So I spoke to Billy Z in the midst of him getting Charles Davis on for the 10th time in 6 days. I spoke to Billy Z this week. I said, Billy, you got Joel Myers' number? And, he found it, and he got it me that Eddie didn't know. And he got me the number, and I texted Joel Myers on Thursday, and I just said, Joe, you probably don't remember me, Christopher Russo, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, make a long story short, I have my son who's coming in to watch the game, everything else. And he texted back. He said, absolutely, make sure he comes, says hello. And so what did Joe Myers do? Out of his way, before the game and at halftime, he made sure he checked in to make sure Tim was in the building. And then he went out of his way to direct Tim after the game to proper eateries and bars on Bourbon Street. Not that a 19-year-old needed it, but Timmy may have ended up at the waterfront instead of, where? Timmy, Bourbon Street's over there. It's not at the water. It's not the 1812 building. It's right down there. And so as a result, Joe Myers, so I want to give a shout out to him. That's a good job. But anyway, make a long story short, I got such a kick out of watching that New Orleans game, and all I did was watch Tim roof, because he was 5th row behind Stotts. And all I did was watch Tim. Matter of fact, I went to a dinner party that night, and I made everybody at that dinner party put the New Orleans game on. None of them know me from Adam. Sandy Montag, one of his specialties. And I said, look at this. And there's Timmy wearing a number 23 Anthony Davis shirt with the black underneath on the edge of his seat. That was the highlight of my weekend. Anyway, and Joe Myers. What a job by Bill tracking a number down. I asked Eddie, and he didn't know who Joe was. I said, he works I can't get his number. So Eddie's going to get his David Wesley today to discuss the Pelicans, who are a factor right now. Update time, is it Jeremy Huber or Dan Lang on tape from 210? Oh, this is 210. I believe it's the 210 update. Is it Huber, Dan Lang? Is it Jacob Wilkins? You'd think my staff, my crack one, would know it. They have absolutely no idea. It is 3:30. Eddie's farting around, getting books out and everything else. I finally got that season in the Sun book on Mickey Mantle. So we'll get a chance to get those 2 writers. It's Jeremy Huber. He's got a sports bite. Mad Dog